What's up guys, it's Josh from KeepItTechie, and today I wanted to do a quick video showing you guys Proxmox. So, as I stated in the intro of the video, I want to show you guys Proxmox. And what Proxmox is a enterprise virtualization software that you can use to install virtual machines on a server. It's pretty much enterprise. It's a hypervisor. You can, have virtual machines, containers on it, and it's a very user-friendly system because it's all managed from a browser. You can manage everything as far as the virtual machine from the browser, but you can also, kind of SSH into it and log into it and play around with it. And what I want to do today is just basically show you guys how to install Proxmox onto whatever computer that you want to install it onto. There are some system requirements, and I'll cover that in a later part of the video. But as I stated, this is, top-notch virtualization software. Like I said, it's enterprise for you can run your own business using this by setting up all your servers. It's all dependent on your hardware at the end of the day. So if you have a lot of hardware to spare, then you can obviously use this, and as well as if your processor supports virtualization in whatever computer you're installing it on, then you can install this up and set up your own little personal lab at the house to work on different operating systems, just to play around with it, similar to VirtualBox. So let's go down and go to the website right fast so I can show you guys what it's all about. Okay, cool. So this is proxmox.com. This is where you can get the ISO for it to install it, and I'll walk you guys through that in a second. But basically what I want to talk about is the Proxmox virtual environment. This is what I'll actually be using on my home network once I receive my server and get everything set up. I'll be using the Proxmox virtual environment. Now, I have installed this on hardware in the past, so I still consider myself kind of new to it because it's been a while, and this is my first time hopping back into it again just to play around with it before I receive my server. But I knew that I want to get back to using this solution at some point. But Proxmox virtualization environment, it says Proxmox VE is a complete open source platform for enterprise virtualization with a built-in web interface. You can easily manage VMs, containers, and software-defined storage, networking, high availability clustering, and multiple out-of-the-box tools on a single solution. And then they also have some other products, Proxmox Backup, Proxmox Mail Gateway. But like I said, all I want to do is kind of focus on the virtual environment. And like I said, it's all managed from a UI, a web UI. You can manage everything from the web. You don't have to, type any commands or anything like that. And you install Proxmox directly on the system. And the way I'm going to show you guys how to install it is on VirtualBox. And I know I can't bring up any virtual machines or create any virtual machines or containers at that point. So this will be kind of like a two-part video. This is the first part where I just basically show you guys how to install it and get it up and running, and then go to the UI. And I won't try to create any virtual machines because I know it'll fail because I'm already running it within a virtual environment in VirtualBox. So let's go down and show you guys how to download it right fast. But basically all you have to do is click virtualization, and then they do have a subscription. I forgot to tell you guys that, and the subscription is basically for support. And the way I look at it is kind of like Red Hat. That's how Red Hat makes money. They make money by support. So that's the same thing with this company. So you can pay for the support if you want to, especially if you're starting a business. This could be a business expense, something you can claim as a business expense for your server. But a lot of people are going to the cloud nowadays, so I always recommend this for people that are just training or trying to get into the IT field. You can set up a whole environment using Proxmox. You can set up Windows computers. I know a lot of guys that are in cybersecurity. They set up a lot of virtual machines to hack on and try to work on their skills by having their own lab to test it out on their own. So let's go down and show you how to download it right fast. Basically, all you have to do is hit get started, and then download the ISO image. So that's all you got to do. Download that ISO image, and let's go through and find it. And what we're gonna do is use the installer, and let's get the latest one. Make sure you get the latest one. Like this one says updated on January 2021. That's the latest one. So we're gonna download that ISO. And cool, once you got it downloaded, all I'm gonna do is open up VirtualBox, and then we're gonna walk through the install right fast. And before I do that, I just want to show you guys, they do have a lot of training, documentation, you know, all that stuff. You can go through the training, and then the documentation is in here somewhere as well. I gotta find it right fast. Might be under virtualization. That's software training, explore features. I'm pretty sure I remember looking at their documentation a while back. And yeah, here we go on the right hand side, documentation. And I forgot to say that it's based on Debian. So it's a Debian based operating system that allows you to do everything, or create the virtual environment. And then like I said, this is the documentation. They have a forum, so if you got questions, you can ask those questions over there as well. You know, it's a lot of support, you know, outside of paying for support. So just check that out. You know what I'm saying? You can hop in here. Most of the time when people have issues, they go to the forum boards, and you'll find an issue you may run into, you know, probably within here, you know, by searching the forum board and finding whatever you're looking for. And then also here's the full documentation. It walks you through the installation, you know, and pretty much how to set up everything. All the documentation is right here in this wiki. Now let's go down and hop over to the virtual machine, or VirtualBox, so I can go down and install Proxmox, and that way we can show you guys how it actually walk you guys through the actual install. And just so you guys know, I did download the torrent file, and that'll allow me to download it, you know, via whatever torrent application that I have installed on my system. And so that's why it only took a short amount of time to download it. I just wanted to let you guys know that because I didn't mention it. But let's go down and get to the virtual machine right fast. So I already have it downloaded, and let's go down and boot up. Okay, so I'm booted up into the virtual machine. This is the first thing that'll pop up once you have the ISO burnt to a USB, or if you have it on a CD, however you're booting up Proxmox. And just to kind of show you guys, they have install Proxmox VE, which is what we're going to do. They have a debug mode, they have a rescue, boots, and then a test memory, and that's something you want to do periodically just to test the memory at some point. But let's just go on and install Proxmox, and I'm gonna take you guys through the process. Okay, and the first thing that'll pop up is the installer, and it'll go right into the installer. And as you can see, the first thing it wants you to do is agree to the end user, or the EULA, and then you want to select your target hard drive. Now, one thing about Proxmox is very simple to install. It's a very quick install. You can go through, you know, modify whatever your hard drives is. They have some other options in here. You can actually set them up in XFS or ZFS. You can do ZFS RAID 0, 1, you know, RAID 10, depending on however many drives you have and how you want to set it up. But we're just going to use ext4, so I'm gonna just press OK right there. But that's the way we're gonna do the hard disk for the install. So let's hit next, and then right here it'll ask you the time zone. I'm in the United States, and then your time zone, whatever time zone you're in. So I'm gonna use Los Angeles if I can find it. And then also keyboard layout, US English for me, so just select for your region or your hardware. So let's hit next. And then right here, this is where you want to set up your password for the administrative account. So we could just type in whatever password we want. I'm gonna just put something simple, and then you gotta type it in twice. and then you need to put in a email address. So I'm just use my main email address, KeepItTechie@gmail.com. And that's one way to actually recover your account. If you need to recover your account, this is how you recover your account, by using that email address. So let's hit next right there, and then this will ask you how you want to set up the interface or the networking. And then right here, you select whatever interface. So if you have multiple interfaces, you can select whichever one you want. And then this is where you set up your host name. And what I'm gonna do is just put vert dot KeepItTechie dot local. That's what I'm gonna basically do, because it's never gonna be on the internet. So I'm gonna just use a local domain for it, or a host name for it. I'm gonna just name it like that, and then you can select your IP address. This is where you can pretty much set it up. And then one thing about it, once you set it up, this IP address is the one you're gonna want to go to once it installs, and I'll show you guys. So that's the IP address that'll use. And right now, this virtual machine is set up in bridge mode, so it's gonna pull its own IP address from the network. I'm not using the NAT I'm not using the NAT option as far as networking, so it's not creating its own internal IP address or its own virtual network. It's actually using my physical network address. So let's go down and hit next. Boom. And then this is a summary, and then what you can select this. Most of the time it's normally checked. Every time I've installed it, this was always checked, but just verify that this is checked. This is basically saying to automatically reboot after successful installation, or you can uncheck it, you know what I'm saying, if you don't want it to reboot right away. So let's just hit install, and that's pretty much it for installing Proxmox. I'll come back and I'll show you guys the actual management dashboard, web UI, so you guys can see how to kind of create anything, but I won't be able to show you any virtual machines. Like I was saying, I don't want to crash the video. You know what I'm saying? Typically when I open up things in VirtualBox, or depending on how heavy the distribution is that I'm playing around with in VirtualBox, it'll crash my video recording software, which is OBS. So I want to make sure I don't do that by trying to install a virtual machine. And plus, I don't think it'll work anyway, because I'm already in a virtual machine. It may have a whole bunch of issues, and I don't want to go through that. Like I said, I'll make another video where I show you guys how to install the virtual machines, and I'll actually be showing you guys me setting up things on my production server once I get it. So I'll be back when this actually finishes. So this is pretty much the end of it. It's gonna reboot, but that IP address, you want to make sure you remember what that IP address is, and then there's a port that you need to go to. And once it comes up, and actually I may have to restart this thing or shut it down, because it doesn't automatically remove the ISO or the bootable ISO in VirtualBox. So I'm gonna have to close it and then open it back up in a second. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, cool. So it should be booting off the hard drive now, and hopefully we don't run into any issues, because I am running this in VirtualBox, and I may have some issues with it booting up. We'll see. Hopefully we don't have any issues. If this video is up, then I didn't have any issues. So I'll be back when it actually comes up fully. Okay, cool. So it booted up fully. So I'm hoping this thing actually works. It should work. I shouldn't have any issues, but that's one thing about it. They allow you to, it brings up the IP address of the server. So that's basically what you need to connect to the web environment in order to manage everything. Now you can manage things from the command line, but it's not a GUI. So you have to understand how to use the command line to actually manage the server from here, or the virtual environment from here. But it's just simple to go to the web browser and open it up and use it that way. So I'll be back in a second once I had a website up. Okay, cool. So just to give you guys a little heads up, one thing you need to do when typing in the IP address to get to the server, you want to make sure you use HTTPS in order to connect to it, because so you can connect to the server. Now you can install a cert on here at some point, but just to get to it, you want to type HTTPS, and I messed that up right fast, so let's go back. I put too many T's in there, but HTTPS:// press enter, and that should bring it up. And then depending on your browser, you know, it's different ways to actually get past this point. It says your connection is not private. Since I'm on a local network, I don't care about it, and this is not accessible outside my network. So all you have to do is hit advanced. In Firefox it's a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same. You just open up the connection at the bottom, and where it says proceed, it should say proceed or something like that, to that effect, and that'll allow you to get past that point. Now we are at the login screen, so let's log in right fast. And the command or the user account is root, and then the password is whatever that password was that you set up during the installation process. So let's go down and hit log in, and that should log us in. And then right here it'll pop up basically saying you don't have a valid subscription. This is basically what I was talking about, how you can pay for support. That's part of that process. But this thing is totally free. You know what I'm saying? You can use it as long as you want to, without paying for any subscription. This thing is free for anybody to use. So let's press OK right here just to get rid of that. But I just wanted to show you guys the domain management console or website or whatever you want to call it. But this is how you go through. You can create your virtual machines. You can create a cluster. You can create LXCs, containers basically in here. You know what I'm saying? This is the server view, and I kind of don't want to go through all of this. I want to save this for when I actually have my other server set up, but I at least wanted to show you guys how to actually get to it and actually manage the server, or actually install it, and then we'll get to the part of actually creating VMs. But that's pretty much it. You can go through and manage your storage. You can manage your folder view. Well, this is just a folder view, that's just a different view. And then they have the pool view, so they have those different views there. But server view is the way I've actually used it in the past. But you can go through and just look at basic information of the server from here, and storage, all that stuff. You can go to summary, and this gives you a little information on the system. It shows you, the virtual machines that are running, the LXCs that are running, pretty much a summary of everything, your resources of everything on your system. So that's cool that they actually have all of that for you to actually see, from like a dashboard, so to speak. But you can do everything from here. I'll go do another video where I go over how to actually create VMs. I mean, it's not that hard. You can kind of see right here, create VM, create container, but I want to walk you guys through the full process of creating those containers and VMs, once I have this installed on physical hardware. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please check out Proxmox. This will allow you to create that lab at the house that you can practice on. You can install Windows systems, you can install Linux systems, pretty much anything you can think of you can install on here. Set up containers, practice code, practice coding, or practice cybersecurity. Pretty much anything you want to do, so you have multiple machines installed on here and running in a virtual environment. But if you have any questions, leave comments down in the comment boxes below. Let me know what you think. I like answering you guys' questions, as well as having conversations about Linux in the chat. But hope you guys have a good night, and keep it techie.